first contact occurred on a Tuesday, not with a dramatic invasion or a mysterious signal from deep space, but with a simple diplomatic vessel that appeared in Earth's orbit without warning. The alien ship was beautiful, a gleaming silver construct, shaped like a teardrop, with pulsing blue lights that seemed to dance across its hull. When the initial panic subsided, world leaders gathered in emergency session and agreed to meet the visitors. Ambassador Rel stepped onto Earth soil at the United Nations headquarters, flanked by two guards whose iridescent armor reflected the camera flashes that captured humanity's first glimpse of extraterrestrial life. Tall and slender with 4 arms and skin that shifted colors with each movement, Rel addressed the assembly with perfect English, transmitted directly into their minds. "We come from the Galactic Confederation, a union of 342 species across this spiral arm. For millennia, we have watched your development with interest. Now that you have achieved rudimentary space travel and quantum communication, we extend an invitation to join our community of worlds." Admiral James Morgan sat in the back of the chamber, watching with narrowed eyes. As the head of Earth's United Space Defense Command, he'd spent his career preparing for this moment, though not quite like this. The aliens weren't hostile, but something in their demeanor bothered him. "Your species has potential," Rel continued, gesturing with his upper arms, while the lower pair remained clasped together. "With proper guidance, humans might one day contribute meaningfully to galactic society. We offer technology and knowledge beyond your current understanding." The condescension was subtle, but unmistakable. The alien spoke as one might to a promising child. Dr. Elena Reyes, Earth's hastily appointed diplomatic representative, maintained her composure. "We're honored by your offer, Ambassador. Perhaps a cultural exchange would be appropriate. We could visit your vessels, and you could tour some of our facilities." Rel's skin rippled with blue patterns, their equivalent of a smile. "We would be delighted to show you our achievements. However, your technology is quite primitive. We wouldn't want to overwhelm you." Morgan exchanged glances with General Hayes seated beside him. They'd both caught the patronizing tone. "Actually," Morgan spoke up, rising to his feet, "we insist. A fair exchange seems appropriate between potential allies." After some debate, Rel agreed. The aliens would host a delegation aboard their diplomatic vessel, and in return, a small group of Confederation representatives would tour Earth's primitive orbital platforms. Later that evening, Morgan met with the Security Council in a classified, underground facility beneath Washington. "They're testing us," he stated flatly. "Measuring our reactions, gauging our capabilities." "You think they have hostile intentions?" President Wallace asked. "Not necessarily hostile," Morgan replied. "But they're definitely hiding something. That condescending attitude. They're either underestimating us deliberately, or they genuinely believe we're technological infants." "Either way," General Hayes added, "I don't like being talked down to by visitors who didn't even knock before." "Entering our solar system," Dr. Reyes frowned. "We should proceed cautiously. This is still a diplomatic opportunity." "Oh, we'll be diplomatic," Morgan said with a grim smile. "But I think it's time we revealed a few cards from our hand. Permission to activate Protocol Thunderbolt, Madam President?" President Wallace hesitated, then nodded. "Granted, but nothing. Aggressive unless provoked." Morgan's fingers flew across his secure tablet. "The 6th Fleet is already in position beyond Luna. Ghost Squadron can be ready within 3 hours." "And the Prometheus?" Hayes asked quietly. Morgan looked up, his eyes hard. "Let's keep that one in reserve. For now." The aliens' diplomatic vessel, which they called the Luminary, was indeed impressive. Guided by Rel and his assistants, the human delegation, consisting of Dr. Reyes, 2 scientists, and Admiral Morgan, who had insisted on joining, marveled at technology centuries beyond their own, or so the aliens believed. "This is our navigation center," explained Rel, leading them into a spherical chamber where holographic star maps floated in 3 dimensions. "We use quantum entanglement to achieve instantaneous communication across vast distances, a technology your species might develop in another century or 2. Dr. Reyes nodded appreciatively, while Morgan remained stoic, his military training concealing his thoughts. The aliens hadn't bothered scanning their visitors for implants, another sign of their underestimation. Through his neural link, Morgan was transmitting everything directly to Earth's defense network. Fascinating, said Dr. Hoffman, one of the scientists. Our theoretical physicists have only dreamed of such applications. Rel's color patterns shifted to something resembling pride. The Confederation has spent millennia perfecting these systems. Your species shows promise, but you're still in your technological infancy. Your crude rockets and satellite systems are charming reminders of our own early development. Morgan bit his tongue. Humanity had been deliberately maintaining a technological facade for decades, a strategy developed after detecting the first signs of alien observation in the 2030s. What the Confederation saw of Earth's capabilities was carefully curated. And this is our armory, Rel continued, seemingly unconcerned about showing weapons to potential enemies. Another indication of how little they regarded humans as a threat. The displayed weapons were impressive. Energy, rifles, personal shield generators, and what appeared to be grenades that manipulated gravity itself. Morgan made mental notes while maintaining a poker face. Meanwhile, across the solar system, the alien delegation was getting their own tour. Led by Lieutenant Reed, 3 Confederation representatives were shown Earth's most advanced space station, a deliberately outdated platform that had been hastily populated with obsolete equipment. This is our primary research laboratory, Reed explained, gesturing to equipment that hadn't been cutting edge for 15 years. We're quite proud of our advances in zero-gravity manufacturing. The alien delegates exchanged glances that clearly communicated their assessment. Primitive. What they couldn't see was the activity happening beyond Neptune's orbit. There, hidden by advanced cloaking technology reverse-engineered from a crashed alien scout ship in 2041, Earth's actual space fleet was mobilizing. Admiral Morgan received the confirmation through his neural implant while pretending to admire. An alien food replication system. Ghost Squadron in position. 6th Fleet at Readiness Level 1. Prometheus, powering systems. Back on Earth, President Wallace addressed the United Nations in emergency session. For decades, we've maintained the appearance of slower technological progress while secretly preparing for this day, she explained to the shocked representatives. The Antarctic Treaty of 2045 established our unified defense strategy and accelerated weapons development program. Today, we invoke Protocol Thunderbolt. Across the planet, hidden military installations activated. Orbital defense platforms disguised as communication satellites dropped their camouflage. And in deep space, humanity's true fleet emerged from stealth mode. At the conclusion of their tour, Admiral Morgan thanked Ambassador Rel with perfect courtesy. We're grateful for this glimpse of your civilization. Perhaps tomorrow you'd care to see more of what humanity has to offer? Rel's color patterns shifted to what Morgan had learned indicated amusement. We would be delighted, though we've already observed much of your planetary development during our approach. I'm sure you have, Morgan replied with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. But I think tomorrow might still hold some surprises. Ambassador Rel and his delegation arrived promptly the next morning at the International Space Elevator in Nairobi, a structure the aliens believed represented the pinnacle of human engineering. In reality, it was merely one of 12 such elevators scattered across the globe and far from humanity's most impressive achievement. Today, Admiral Morgan announced, we'd like to show you something beyond Earth orbit, a small research outpost we've established on Mars. Rel's skin flickered with surprise. Mars? Our scans indicated only automated facilities there. Did they? Morgan replied innocently. How interesting. Nevertheless, we'd be honored if you'd accompany us. The aliens agreed, boarding what appeared to be a conventional chemical rocket, another prop in humanity's elaborate deception. Once they cleared Earth's atmosphere, however, Morgan nodded to the pilot. Engage true propulsion, Commander. The conventional engines fell silent, and for a moment the ship seemed to float. Then, without warning, it lurched forward at impossible speed, pressing everyone against their seats as stars blurred outside the viewports. What is this? Rel demanded, his color patterns shifting rapidly to deep reds and purples, expressions of alarm. This technology is something we developed about 30 years ago, Morgan finished for him. Inertial dampeners still need some work, though. Apologies for the discomfort. The journey to Mars, which should have taken months, was completed in hours. As they approached the red planet, what had appeared on Confederation scans as scattered primitive research domes, resolved into something far more substantial. A sprawling metropolis covered by a transparent dome, with ships coming and going regularly. "Welcome to Armstrong City," Morgan said, unable to hide his satisfaction at the aliens' obvious shock. "Population 1.2 million. Our first permanent off-world colony, established in 2039. The alien delegation remained silent as their vessel docked at a massive spaceport. Through the viewports, they could see hundreds of ships, not the primitive chemical rockets they'd expected, but sleek vessels clearly designed for interplanetary travel. "How is this possible?" one of Rel's assistants finally asked. "Our surveys indicated." "Your surveys saw what we wanted them to see," Morgan explained. "After we detected your observation satellites in the 2030s, Earth's nations united in an unprecedented way. We decided that until we understood the intentions of whoever was watching us, we would present a carefully crafted image." As they disembarked, Dr. Reyes took over the explanation. "Humanity has always been at its most innovative when facing potential threats. The possibility of advanced alien civilizations accelerated our development rather than hindering it." Armstrong City dazzled the alien visitors with its scope and sophistication. Beneath the transparent dome that protected it from Mars' harsh environment, a fully functional city thrived. Transportation pods zipped along magnetic rails, towering structures of advanced composite materials reached toward the dome's apex, and throughout it all, humans went about their daily lives as if living on another planet were perfectly ordinary. "This is unexpected," Rel admitted, his color patterns having settled into what Morgan now recognized as confusion. "The Confederation's assessment of your species may have been incomplete." "That was the idea," Morgan replied. They proceeded to a massive underground facility beneath the city, the real purpose of their visit. As the elevator descended, Rel and his companions grew increasingly unsettled. The doors opened to reveal a cavernous hangar stretching for kilometers beneath the Martian surface. Inside, workers swarmed around what was unmistakably a warship under construction, over a kilometer long, bristling with weapon emplacements and armored with materials even the aliens didn't recognize. "This is the Defiance," Morgan explained, "the fifth in our Thunderbolt-class defensive vessels. Her sister ships are already on patrol throughout the solar system." "Defensive vessels?" Rel's skin had turned almost completely white. "These are warships." "A matter of perspective," Morgan replied evenly. "When you don't know the intentions of those watching from the shadows, prudence suggests preparing for all possibilities." As if on cue, Morgan's neural implant pinged with an alert. He smiled grimly at the alien ambassador. "It seems your Confederation has just discovered some of our other preparations. Perhaps we should return to Earth to discuss a more equal diplomatic arrangement." The luminary was in chaos. When they returned to Earth orbit, a flurry of communications from the Confederation fleet, which had been hiding just beyond the heliopause, demanded explanations for the sudden appearance of advanced human warships throughout the solar system. On the main view screen, the human delegation and alien representatives watched as Earth's true military might revealed itself. Ghost Squadron, 12 stealth destroyers that had been cloaked near Jupiter, now surrounded a much larger alien vessel that had been secretly monitoring Earth. The Sixth Fleet had emerged from hiding spots in the asteroid belt and near Saturn's rings, their massive silhouettes unmistakable against the blackness of space. "You've been concealing your true capabilities," Rel stated, his skin now a turbulent mix of colors reflecting his agitation. "This violates Confederation protocols for emerging species." "Protocols we never agreed to," President Wallace replied, via holographic projection from the White House Situation Room. "You've been observing Earth without our knowledge or consent for decades. We simply took appropriate precautions." The Confederation's main vessel, a massive ship nearly 5 kilometers long that had been hiding beyond Neptune, now found itself flanked by 3 human battlecruisers that had seemingly materialized from nowhere. "How did you achieve this level of technology so quickly?" Rel demanded. "Our records indicate your species only developed rudimentary atomic power less than a century ago." Dr. Reyes stepped forward. "When we detected your observation platforms in 2031, it served as a unifying moment for humanity. Historical rivalries were set aside in favor of collective security. The Antarctic Treaty established a global research directive with one purpose: Rapid technological advancement while maintaining the appearance of normal development. Morgan added, "We've been aware of your presence since before your official arrival. That crashed scout ship in the Atacama Desert in 2041? It provided valuable insights into your propulsion and cloaking technologies." Rel's color patterns shifted to what Morgan had come to recognize as disbelief. "That vessel was reported lost to drive malfunction." "It was shot down," Morgan corrected, "by an early prototype of the defensive systems now deployed throughout our system." On the view screen, another alert flashed. A new vessel had appeared near Earth's moon, dwarfing everything else in the system. Over 8 kilometers long, its black hull seemed to absorb rather than reflect light, and its design was unlike anything the Confederation had seen before. "The Prometheus," Morgan said quietly. "Our flagship." Rel stared at the screen in stunned silence. Finally, his color patterns stabilized into a steady blue. "It seems the Confederation has grievously misjudged humanity," he acknowledged. "Our protocols were established based on thousands of previous first contact scenarios. Never have we encountered a species that developed so rapidly while deliberately concealing their progress." President Wallace's hologram nodded gravely. "We had no way of knowing your intentions. Humanity has a long history of more technologically advanced civilizations subjugating less developed ones. We weren't about to let that happen on a galactic scale." "A prudent decision," Rel admitted, "though alarming from our perspective." The tension in orbit remained high. The Confederation fleet, which had clearly intended to overwhelm Earth if necessary, now found itself outgunned and outmaneuvered. Decades of human paranoia and preparation had produced a fighting force that could go toe-to-toe with a galactic power. "So," Morgan said, breaking the uncomfortable silence, "perhaps we should discuss terms for a more equitable relationship between Earth and the Confederation." For the first time since their arrival, the aliens appeared genuinely respectful of their human counterparts. The condescension had vanished, replaced by cautious diplomatic language and careful phrasing. "Yes," Rel agreed. "I believe a reassessment of our initial approach is warranted." The diplomatic vessel Concord hung in space between the assembled fleets, a neutral ground hastily established for the renegotiation of humanity's relationship with the Galactic Confederation. Inside its conference chamber, representatives from both sides sat at an oval table designed to accommodate various physiologies. "Let me be clear," Admiral Morgan said, leaning forward in his chair. "Earth has no hostile intentions toward the Confederation. Our military buildup was purely defensive, motivated by uncertainty about your intentions." Ambassador Rel, now joined by 3 senior Confederation officials who had arrived via quantum teleportation, nodded slowly. "We understand your position, Admiral. However, you must recognize our concern. No species in Confederation history has achieved your rate of technological advancement, or been so deliberately deceptive about it," added High Counselor Mira, an avian being whose metallic feathers rustled with every movement. President Wallace, present via secure holographic projection, responded firmly. "Deception was necessary for security. Your observation platforms violated our sovereignty long before official contact." The aliens exchanged uncomfortable glances. Their standard protocol, observing pre-spacefaring civilizations from afar, had never been challenged before. Most species were grateful for Confederation guidance once contact was established. Humanity's response was unprecedented. Dr. Reyes spread a series of holographic displays across the table, showing the timeline of Earth's true technological development. After World War II, humanity recognized the existential threat posed by our own weapons. When we detected your presence, that fear was projected outward. Every major nation redirected resources toward defense and technological advancement. The displays showed massive underground research facilities, lunar bases hidden on the far side of the moon, and asteroid mining operations cloaked from conventional detection. Decades of secret development had produced a technological base far beyond what the Confederation had believed possible. "Most concerning," said Counselor Drav, a crystalline entity who communicated through light pulses, translated by a device at the table's center, "is your weapons technology. Our analysis suggests several novel approaches we haven't encountered before." Morgan nodded. "Necessity breeds innovation. When facing a potentially hostile force with unknown capabilities, you develop every advantage you can imagine. On the main view screen, the Prometheus performed a slow patrol near the moon, its massive silhouette a constant reminder of humanity's unexpected power. Unlike Confederation vessels with their sleek, artistic designs, human warships were angular and utilitarian, built for function rather than form. Beneath their armor plating lay weapon systems developed through decades of paranoid speculation about alien capabilities. "What exactly do you propose?" Rel asked finally. President Wallace answered without hesitation. "Equal standing. Earth joins the Confederation not as a protectorate or developing world, but as a full member with all associated rights and responsibilities." The alien representatives conferred briefly in their own language before Mira responded. "This is highly irregular. The standard integration process takes centuries." "We're not a standard case," Morgan countered. "And frankly, we're not interested in centuries of guidance from powers that until yesterday thought us barely above savagery." The negotiations continued for hours, with Confederation representatives gradually coming to terms with humanity's unusual position. Earth possessed military technology approaching Confederation standards, developed independently, and with several innovative aspects that even surprised the galactic powers. "There's something else you should understand," Dr. Reyes said toward the end of the session. "Our unified front today shouldn't mislead you. Humanity is diverse, competitive, and often fractious. These traits drive our rapid innovation. Different nations and corporations constantly strive to outdo each other, even while cooperating on defense." Counselor Drav's crystalline structure pulsed with what appeared to be curiosity. "This internal competition without destruction is unusual. Most species either unify completely or destroy themselves through conflict." "We came close to the latter several times," Wallace acknowledged, "but the discovery of your observation changed everything. Nothing unites humans like an external challenge." As the meeting concluded, a preliminary agreement was reached. Earth would join the Confederation, but with special provisions acknowledging its unique development path and military capabilities. Human representatives would immediately join the Galactic Council, and knowledge exchange would begin on equal terms. "One final question," Rel said as they prepared to adjourn. "The Prometheus, we detect unusual energy signatures we cannot identify. What exactly powers such a massive vessel?" Morgan smiled slightly. "That information will be shared in due time, Ambassador. Some technological advantages we prefer to keep in reserve, at least until we're more comfortable with our new galactic neighbors." The aliens couldn't quite hide their discomfort at this response. 6 months after first contact, Earth had undergone a transformation unlike anything in human history. Knowledge exchange with the Confederation had accelerated development in medicine, agriculture, and civilian technology, while humanity contributed its unique perspectives and innovations to the galactic community. Admiral Morgan stood on the observation deck of the newly completed orbital station Unity, watching ships from a dozen different alien species coming and going. What had once been science fiction was now daily reality. "Remarkable how quickly things change," observed Dr. Reyes, joining him at the viewport. "A year ago, we were still maintaining our technological facade." Morgan nodded, his expression thoughtful. "And now we're hosting the Confederation Security Council here next month. Progress indeed." Despite the diplomatic success, Morgan and Earth's defense forces remained vigilant. Trust would take time to build, especially with certain factions within the Confederation who were uncomfortable with humanity's rapid elevation to full member status. "Admiral," a voice came through his neural implant, "the Duraxian delegation has arrived for the military technology exchange." "On my way," he replied, turning to Reyes. "Duty calls." In the station's conference center, representatives from the Duraxian Empire, one of the Confederation's premier military powers, waited with poorly concealed impatience. Unlike Rel's species with their color-changing skin, Duraxians were massive armored beings who valued strength above all else. "Welcome to Unity," Morgan greeted them formally. "We're honored by your interest in joint military exercises, Commander." Krell, nearly 2.5 meters tall in his ceremonial armor, inclined his head slightly. "The Duraxian Empire is curious about human military doctrine. Your rapid advancement suggests approaches we may find valuable." What went unsaid was the real purpose of this meeting. The Doraxians, traditionally the Confederation's military backbone, were assessing whether humans represented a threat or a potential ally against external dangers. We've prepared several simulation scenarios, Morgan explained, activating a holographic display. Perhaps we should begin with defensive operations in asteroid fields, something both our species have experience with. For the next several hours, human and Doraxian military experts exchanged tactics, comparing notes on everything from small unit operations to fleet maneuvers. The aliens were particularly interested in Earth's approach to asymmetric warfare, fighting against technologically superior opponents. Your species developed these tactics against hypothetical alien invasions, Krell noted, studying a simulation of human stealth vessels disabling a much larger enemy ship. Now you find yourselves among those you feared. Preparation for the worst doesn't preclude hope for the best, Morgan replied diplomatically. We developed these capabilities hoping never to need them. After the formal exchange, Commander Krell requested a private word with Morgan. They moved to a smaller conference room overlooking Earth. Your world is very blue, Krell observed, his gravelly voice softer than before. Like our ancestral homeworld before the resource wars. Morgan waited silently, sensing there was more to this conversation than small talk. Admiral, Krell continued, turning from the viewport. The Confederation presents itself as a unified, peaceful entity. This is partially true. But there are factions and tensions invisible to new members. I suspected as much, Morgan replied carefully. No group of hundreds of species could be without internal politics. Krell's armored face was difficult to read, but his posture conveyed seriousness. The Doraxian Empire has served as the Confederation's primary defense force for millennia. We recognize kindred spirits in your kind, warriors who understand that peace requires strength. What exactly are you suggesting, Commander? An alignment of interests. Certain elements within the Confederation Council are uncomfortable with your species' rapid advancement. They prefer new members to spend centuries in technological apprenticeship. Morgan's eyes narrowed. Are you warning us of a threat? Not immediate, Krell clarified. But it would be wise for Earth to maintain its military readiness while appearing to embrace Confederation integration fully. The Doraxian Empire would welcome a strong ally should internal tensions ever escalate. This was unexpected, a potential division within Confederation ranks that might affect Earth's future. Morgan considered his response carefully. We appreciate your candor, Commander. Earth has always valued friends who speak plainly. After the Doraxians departed, Morgan immediately called an emergency meeting with Earth's Security Council. The diplomatic landscape had just become considerably more complex. Humanity had joined a galactic community more divided than it first appeared, and their unexpected military strength had already drawn the attention of factions looking for allies. So much for peaceful galactic integration, President Wallace sighed after hearing Morgan's report. It seems we've stepped into politics on a cosmic scale. Better to know now than be caught unaware later, Morgan replied. I recommend we continue our military development program while pursuing diplomatic ties with multiple Confederation factions. Dr. Reyes looked troubled. We wanted to join a united galactic community, not become pawns in some interstellar power struggle. Welcome to the galaxy, Morgan said grimly. Apparently some things are universal, including politics and military posturing. 3 years after first contact, Earth had become something unprecedented in Confederation history, a nexus of innovation and diplomatic activity that had fundamentally altered the balance of power among the stars. Human ambassadors now served on all major Confederation councils, while Earth's military maintained its independence within the broader galactic security framework. Admiral Morgan, recently promoted to Supreme Commander of Earth's Unified Defense Force, stood on the bridge of the Prometheus as it patrolled the edge of human space. Despite integration with the Confederation, Earth had insisted on maintaining sovereign control over the solar system and its immediate surroundings. Incoming transmission from Confederation High Command, reported his communications officer. Priority Alpha. Morgan frowned. Priority Alpha was reserved for imminent threats. On screen, the holographic display flickered to life, showing Ambassador Rel, now Earth's principal contact with the Confederation leadership. His color patterns displayed urgent blues and purples. Admiral Morgan, we have a situation developing in the Arcturus sector. The Scrivene Collective has launched an unexpected offensive against Confederation outposts. Morgan tensed. The Scrivene, hive-minded species from beyond Confederation space, had been mentioned in briefings as a potential threat, but had been dormant for centuries. How bad? 3 systems overrun already. Confederation forces are mobilizing, but the Arcturus sector is 6 light-years from the nearest major fleet base. Earth is actually closer. And there it was, the real reason for this call. The Confederation needed Earth's warships, the very vessels they had once viewed with alarm and suspicion. "You're requesting our assistance," Morgan stated flatly. Rel's patterns shifted apologetically. "The Confederation Council has formally requested Earth's military support under Article 7 of our membership agreement." Morgan exchanged glances with his executive officer. This wasn't entirely unexpected. The Doraxians had warned them that Earth's strategic position and military capability might soon be called upon. "Tell the Council the Earth Defense Force stands ready. The Prometheus battle group can depart immediately, with the 7th and 3rd fleets to follow within 12 hours. After the transmission ended, Morgan contacted Earth's Security Council. President Wallace's expression was grim as she authorized the deployment. "This is what we prepared for all along," she noted. "Not just defending Earth, but taking our place on the galactic stage." 3 days later, the Prometheus led a combined fleet of Earth and Confederation vessels into the contested Arcturus sector. The massive human flagship dwarfed even the Doraxian dreadnoughts that had once been considered the most formidable warships in known space. What followed was the first true test of human military capability against an advanced alien threat. The Scrivene forces, organic technological hybrids that functioned as extensions of their hive mind, had expected to face only the conventional Confederation response. The sudden arrival of unknown warships with unfamiliar weapons and tactics threw them into disarray. From his command chair, Morgan directed the battle with calm precision, employing strategies developed during decades of hypothetical alien invasion scenarios. Human warships, designed to fight against technologically superior opponents, now demonstrated their effectiveness in actual combat. "7th Fleet has broken through their left flank," reported his tactical officer. "The Doraxian battle group is advancing through the gap." Morgan nodded approvingly. "Order Ghost Squadron to execute Maneuver Theta. Let's see if these Scrivene can adapt to ships that can mask their energy signatures." The battle raged for hours, with the combined fleet gradually pushing back the invasion force. The Prometheus itself engaged the massive Scrivene command node, a living vessel nearly 12 kilometers long that coordinated the hive's activities. "Primary weapons charged and locked," announced the weapons officer. "Fire." The Prometheus unleashed its principal armament, a directed energy weapon powered by the artificial singularity at the ship's core. The beam cut through the Scrivene vessel's defenses like they weren't there, splitting the massive organic ship in two and severing the hive mind's control over its forces. In the aftermath, as Allied ships secured the system and rescued survivors from attacked outposts, Morgan received numerous communications from Confederation commanders. What had been planned as a joint operation had effectively become a showcase of human military prowess. Commander Krell of the Doraxians was among the first to open a direct channel. His normally stoic features showed what Morgan had learned to recognize as respect. "The rumors of human military capability were not exaggerated," he said without preamble. "The Doraxian Empire acknowledges your effectiveness in battle. Coming from a species that valued martial prowess above all else, this was high praise indeed." As the fleets regrouped and prepared to pursue the retreating Scrivene forces, Ambassador Rel requested permission to come aboard the Prometheus, an unprecedented honor for a diplomatic representative. "I bring a message from the Confederation High Council," Rel announced when he arrived on the bridge, his color patterns displaying formal blues and golds. "They wish to express their gratitude for Earth's decisive intervention." Morgan accepted the thanks with appropriate diplomatic language, but he could see there was more to this visit. "The Council has also authorized me to inform you that in light of today's events, Earth has been nominated for a seat on the Confederation's Strategic Defense Committee, a position usually reserved for founding members with millennia of service. This was a significant development, recognition of Earth's unique position within the galactic community." "We are honored," Morgan replied formally. "Earth stands ready to contribute to galactic security." After Rel departed, Morgan stood alone on the observation deck, watching as repair ships attended to damaged vessels and rescue operations continued throughout the system. Humanity had come a long way from hiding their technological development. "In fear of alien intentions, Admiral," his XO called from the doorway, "the President is requesting an update, and the Duraxian command staff has invited you to a victory celebration." Morgan smiled slightly. "Tell them I'll be there shortly." As he turned from the viewport, Morgan reflected on the irony of their situation. The warships that had once alarmed the Confederation had now become its shield, and the species they had once patronized as primitives now stood as equals, perhaps even leaders, in galactic affairs. Humanity had prepared for the worst, while hoping for the best. Today, that preparation had proven its worth, not in defending Earth against alien aggression as they had feared, but in taking their place as protectors of the very community that had once watched them from the shadows. The stars outside the viewport seemed brighter somehow, as if acknowledging humanity's arrival on the galactic stage, not as students or subjects, but as guardians.